Okay.
Nothing for plant.
Plenty of time.
But yeah, like Cub Creek, that's not even done yet.
Okay.
It's just to get the improved districts created.
Okay.
Yes. This is on it, right, showing here. And here we go.
Okay. All right. It's 6 o'clock. We'll get started tonight. First thing we'll do is say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we got the four of us here. John is not with us this evening as he's still recovering. So we do have a quorum. All right. We're looking at the regular agenda here. Brent, we had a couple of changes on this one.
We do. Agenda item 4B would move to be after agenda item 11.
Okay. So
Just so we can have discussion if you guys do want to have discussion on that.
okay.
And then agenda item 15, I believe it is to remove. So recreational trail
Still want to.
program
Yeah.
RTP, remove
Well,
that.
just a quick kind of FYI on that one. I'm working around some design constraints around the cemetery along Highway 17, and I don't want to rush that, so we'll just push that back to for 2 weeks, and we'll
Sure.
act on approving the plan specs at that time.
So we're just removing 15.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Okay.
those two changes.
Those are it, right?
Yep.
Okay. I'll accept the motion for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve with changes.
Wait, excuse me, for the
Or you
regular
need to do
agenda.
regular
Stepping
agenda.
ahead, stepping ahead. For the regular
Motion to approve
agenda.
The regular agenda with said changes.
Yep. Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Ooh, I think Dave got it. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, move on to the consent agenda. Anything on there, Brent, that we needed to, I don't think everything.
The only thing I have really on consent agenda, well, not really items, just vendor invoices is portrayed a little different because we're running out Black Mountain now.
Right,
So that's the only,
okay.
So is that the final payment for Excel on the water meter, or is that there's still another,
there's going to be more.
there's one more payment?
I believe there's more.
Okay.
Okay, anybody got anything else on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, Chelsea makes the motion, can I get a second?
Are we gonna have a separate discussion around the mosquito?
Consent, if you want to pull it from the consent agenda, you can. Consent agenda, you typically don't have a discussion unless you want it.
Right now, we're discussing that, and that is to
What-
approve the mosquito
Yeah.
contract.
It's just
to
approve.
the contract.
All it is it give us the ability to do aerial spraying.
So it's not actually scheduling it, it's just
No.
saying, getting the contract in place so that when the time comes, we can
Yes.
approve it and we just pull the trigger on it.
Yes.
But at this point, you've negotiated the price of that.
It's the price given to us, proposed. It's the same company that does them for
Right.
basically everybody.
West Fargo.
And it's just saying this is how much it would cost.
Okay.
You have to have that in place in order to,
Right.
be able to streamline it, because otherwise it would take a while to be, from when we'd want to have it done to when it would actually happen, because
Right.
of getting clearance with groups like FAA. It would take a little while to get that cleared,
Okay.
so they get the clearance now, so that way when, if we ever need it, we have that
Right.
ability.
Okay,
Okay, so I'll second the agenda.
okay. Chelsea and Brian did a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent agenda is approved. Okay, council minutes, you guys get a chance to look through those? I think everything was in there, and I didn't see anything different we talked about.
Yeah, everything looked accurate from last time.
Okay, so I'll accept the motion to accept the meeting minutes from last meeting.
Motion to accept the meeting minutes
Okay.
as provided.
Dave?
Second.
Chelsea does a second. Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, Motion carries. All right, so public comment. Anybody want to talk about anything tonight? You can grab the podium.
I have a question. I'm not.
Can you come
Dave,
up to the
grab the podium.
please?
Okay. My name is David Gronlett. That Cub Creek Pond purchase agreement, are you gonna move that down a little? Or is that on the agenda to talk before public comments?
That's moved down to like 11C.
After 11.
Okay. I don't really have a lot. I did give your legal counsel 13, 14 questions in regards to my concerns about the rapid expansion of all these lots that are being, all these homes and all the developments that are happening out here. I also have a concern about the roundabout that's coming in over here that's supposed to cost in the area, along with the street stuff, in about $6 million, I was told from the last meetings. And how much is going to be assessed to special assessments, and how much is going to be funded by the school, how much is going to be funded by, if there's any federal policies because of the highways and stuff. And I understand that you can't really answer that question today because you don't really know, because you don't know how much each person is going to pay out of this thing. So my big concern is, as this, this resident of the city of Horace, we all know how the special assessments went on our last thing, which some people are not very happy about. All I want to know, and let the city know, the people that live here, what you're going to do, how you're going to handle it, and not surprise us with just some information in the paper. And I think you guys have already agreed to put out notifications and also letters keeping the city informed on how you're going to do this special assessment, because right now the mayor informed me that you don't really have an answer right now.
We don't know what the final tally is.
They don't know what the final tally and how is everything going to be assessed. So all I want to know is, when this starts putting everything together, I, as the resident of City of Horace, want to know how it's going to affect me.
Okay.
So, and I have a few other questions, but I'll just deal with your legal counsel and Brent with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Anybody else want to grab the microphone? Going once, going twice. Okay. Then we'll move along. Who's got the sheriff update? All right, you're up. You drew the short straw tonight, right?
No, I You gotta start updating you guys who's gonna do it every month. It's kind of like a little roulette game here.
Yep.
I'll just run through the numbers really quick. 114 calls for service. That includes 1 crash, 2 reckless driving calls, 1 juvenile complaint, 7 animal calls, 1 alcohol-related call, 5 medicals. We wrote 4 citations and gave 17 warnings last month, 0 parking tickets, and 1 drug-related call. That was just some information given out by a citizen about some potential activity.
Okay.
In the paragraph this month, we experienced 114 calls service. The number includes 19 calls related to traffic complaints, as well as 14 calls for deputies attempting warrants. There was a pursuit that started in town, but due to public safety and knowing the responsible party, the pursuit was called off, so no damage to people or property there, which is good. We just want to remind you, with construction starting soon, please remember to slow down. We've already noticed high speeds on 64th Avenue going towards the shooting park. It's already been a complaint. It's only probably going to get a little bit worse with the detour and folks out of town, in town. Anyone's probably be speeding on there.
Yep.
There's going to be extra patrol on the entirety of the construction detour, so we're hopefully to get out there and get some education out early to people traveling the road, let them know that we're watching it, and we just want people to be safe, kind of thing.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get more information out, or keep our Facebook site updated with, so if there's anything that you guys want us to put out there too, let us know, or send it to our people, and
Certainly will.
we'll get it out there for them.
The one other thing we've aired to put on here, there's been a lot of citizen complaints recently about 4-wheelers on the railroad property, kind of in the area of Mostway going out of town.
Okay.
We did contact the railroad since it is private property. It's going to be signed as such. It might be some signs up now. I haven't checked. I've been gone for a week or so, but they're going to be signing that with no trespassing signs at each entrance into that property. So just so people are aware, that's going to be enforced, or at least warned here from starting out. And then,
Yeah, I was gonna say, give some warnings. But
Yeah,
as
no,
long
I-
as the signs are up, people should know.
yeah, people should know. If anybody knows me, I'm not much of a ticketer. I'm more of a loving warner. But so if I ever stop any of you, you're welcome in advance. I'm a very nice guy. But,
Okay. Any trends that we need to concern ourselves with? that you're
No,
seeing?
we were pretty preoccupied. Obviously, we still enforced things, but the month was pretty full with the flood and
Yeah,
all that stuff. So we're obviously seeing more calls for service with the getting nicer out here and there when it's not flooding and snowing at the same time. Yeah, nothing alarming that I can even think of. It's been a
Okay.
pretty good month.
I just know that 117 and 76 go offline, that detour is gonna be used a lot more.
Yeah,
I'm kind of hoping that people will maybe get a habit of taking the roads out, the highways out.
Sure.
But I mean, I know it's gonna be there. I'll be using it. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the speeds and things like that too.
yeah. As soon as I saw the post come up on your guys' page with the map, I put it out to everyone in our department. So hopefully we get some. Even when me and Lindsay aren't here, hopefully we get some people in town
Okay.
watching it. So.
Yeah, so,
What will the speed limits be out on that Wall Avenue and the back road there?
I got to talk to Jason about that. I know at one time we were talking, I don't know, I think they were saying it was 45, but I don't know if he ever came to an agreement on what that was gonna be.
I haven't heard. I can check with them too.
I know like on 64th, they wanted to keep that speed down a little bit while you get through the bridge, and then on the other side over there, I know they wanted to keep that to 25, 30 until you get off. But, and then like on Wall down here, we got 25, 40,
Straight
up
off
to
the
there.
diversion, yeah.
Yeah, so,
We'll see.
yeah,
Whatever it is, it'll be enforced justly.
yep. That's what I'm thinking too, so. Anybody else got any questions? Okay. All right, thank you, sir. All right, so Brenton, you're up here on the 76th Avenue and Roundabout construction updates.
Is there something you present here, or? Not up on the screen there. Just a couple items, and I'll probably tag team this with Jim. One thing I just wanted to make sure everybody is clearly understanding the detour route. The detour route is 64th to 81st Street South to Wall Avenue, going north and south, for 81st and those sections. Now, one misconception that some folks have is tied to from 76 to 64th. That has been a minimum maintenance road. That is being upgraded to a standard gravel road. So right now it is ripped up. The contractors, my understanding, are letting it dry out a little bit more, and they will be out there probably later part of this week getting that gravel down, because they cannot start the construction or closures on the 76-17 intersection for the roundabout until the detour route is established and drivable. So that is the detour route, and yes, we are upgrading that minimum maintenance road, so there would be gravel road throughout and is being maintained. The entire route has had at least 2 inches of gravel put down on it. It does look a little darker than normal. It's just that gravel from their pit that they got from is a little darker. So just so you're aware, yes, it is gravel. It's not dirt. It was put down on the road. 2 inches was put down on Wall Avenue and on 64th, and then on 81st Street South from Wall to 76 was 2 inches. From 76 to 64, that's about 4 inches of gravel that's being put down. And if they have to put it on a little bit more, they will. As for maintenance of that detour route, the contractor is supposed to maintain that route throughout the life of the project. So we've had concerns last summer, for example, on Wall Avenue, gets washboarded just west of the bridge. That is to be maintained by the contractor of this project. So if it needs to be touched up, if it needs more gravel, any of that, we will let the contractor know, or we hope that they will be on it before we even could say anything. But that was put into the agreement or contract that they are to maintain that route. We have looked, I asked Jim to look into costs to do additional detour, say on the east side of the road. One was to look at 76 up Veterans to 64th and graveling that. That would cost, based on our prices from this bid, about $160,000 additional if we wanted to do that. That's quite a bit of money for a project that would have a very limited scope. The advantage of it, we get a minimum maintenance road upgrade to a gravel road. Downfall, $160,000 roughly to do that.
That's not part of the
That's
construction
not part of
budget
it
right now.
No,
Yeah.
that's not part of it. Now, the project did come in under the estimate, which is good.
Right, but
But I just wanted to let everybody know that that's how much it costs. If we were to do
Yeah.
that, about 20 households would benefit from that detour route, if we do that 1 mile. If we did 2 miles, if we did, say, Wall Avenue or 88th to 64th, you're looking in the range between $320,000 and $350,000. That has not been scoped into the project because we have a detour route that has been beefed up, but that would provide alternatives to a greater amount of people, because you'd have the Prairie View and really the neighborhood right in here. So it might take a little bit of traffic off of Wall, 81st and 64th, but that's another, let's say, $350,000. So that's a lot of money for
that's stuff we haven't budgeted
gravel
for.
road,
all,
not
you know,
budgeted into the project.
contingency-wise.
It would save some folks from driving instead of 4 miles possibly tied this detour to 1 or 2. So it does reduce their miles driving on a gravel road, but for that cost. So something for the council to consider, but I wanted to at least inform you of that. Can you highlight the roundabout phase, Jim?
As far as.
Well, they're going to start with the roundabout
Are we?
and then Adelman's. Or can you touch base on that real quick?
So the plan that the contractors proposed is to close the County Road 17 and 76th Avenue sometime next week. They aren't sure on the date. It all depends on how they can get the detour route shaped up and safe for travel. Once that they construct that, they're going to concentrate their efforts on the roundabout. They aren't going to continue east on 76th Avenue until they get the bulk of that roundabout complete. The residents of Adelman and the north side of 76th Avenue are going to have to go east to gravel roads and back either to the south or continue east to the I-29 frontage road and up north to the Walmart area. Once the project progresses to the east, there's a frontage road to be constructed for the long term on the north side that will get temporarily extended to 66th Street, which is the entrance to Adelman Addition. They'll be temporarily connected, bringing them back to the roundabout area and then back to County Road 17. So that is the plan as of right now. No construction has been started on that, so I anticipate that it might change a little bit, but that's their plan going forward.
Okay.
One thing I would like, we should remind residents that 100th Avenue is a much better route. Most residents that live in Horace, like downtown area and so forth, should consider going south to 100th and out to the interstate to get into town, because it may seem like a further drive, but the road speeds are gonna be higher and it's gonna be a safer route than trying to go through all the detours. Plus, you won't have to deal with the 40-mile-an-hour gravel road, etc. So, just as a point of reminder for everyone, please go through 100th, because that will probably be a safer route than going up through the detour area. So, if you can avoid that detour, great, go south to 100th and out to the interstate. It might seem a little longer, but it really isn't.
And then the last item I had tied to this was, this project has a very condensed schedule for the size of the project. And we've intentionally had this project bid out later to work with the schools, not impact the schools near as much. So that is why the start date of impacting is the 13th instead of doing this a month ago, is we wanted to have less impact on the schools and traffic, and condense it as much as we can to where the contractor can still get the project done. So, yeah. And their timeline is, I believe, August for, mid-August for completion of the roundabout. And then I believe it was end of November, is that correct, for 76?
End of October.
End of October for this portion on 76. So our focus is to get traffic moving through the roundabout as soon as possible.
Hopefully by the time school starts.
Yep.
Yep.
Actually,
That would be the goal.
I think the goal was to have it done before school starts, so
Yep.
when they start training the bus drivers, that's not an impediment.
Their substantial completion is mid-August, so
Yeah.
that's when you have to be able to have traffic driving through there. So the contractors will be moving to make sure they get that done quickly. So.
Okay.
The one other thing I want to touch on with a detour route is that there is a chemical-based stabilizer being applied to it to hold the road in shape, and a dust palliative being applied to keep the dust down on the gravel road, so throughout the project.
Okay.
And another reason we couldn't delay this is we would be going right into the start of when the school's done next year.
Yes.
If we actually waited till next year to do this, so, you
Yeah.
know, it is an inconvenience, but we needed to do it this year versus potentially running into a school actually opening up and our construction on the roads not being done
Yes.
next year.
Yep.
Okay, anything else on that?
If you had any questions, anything, touch base. I know we've been talking about this project for quite some time through council meetings, and just if you had any other questions about the project, so.
No, let's just hope we can stay on schedule, that's the
Yep.
biggie right now.
Weather cooperating.
And we are coordinating with, communications group between Horace, Cass County, North Dakota DOT, Fargo, West Fargo, everybody. YUC Communications are talking about the Cheyenne project, the 52nd, and this one all together, is we're coordinating together on this. That way it's a more consistent message.
Yeah, so what we might wanna do is just keep current with our
Yeah.
Facebook stuff, that anytime anything changes with this, or we get some status updates, we should immediately get them out there so the folks know what's going on, cause this will probably be pretty dynamic for the first couple weeks here while they're getting things in order. And then we might have, keeping schedule, running schedule, is making sure we're still on time and task with this thing. Question? Yes?
Is it possible to send out emails concerning this, that there's been changes? As far as keeping people updated?
Oh, the updates? Yeah,
Yeah.
we can, if you,
That's
if you
how I
prefer an email.
communicate, and
Yep.
I haven't seen anything from email.
Well, because typically the way that's a notify me that people have been signing
Yeah,
up
sign
for.
up for that.
And
Yeah.
those are typically for like a water main break or some
Emergencies.
event-based, not necessarily a status update. We could definitely use it for that, just realizing that it's just a notification or put something on it to say, hey, it's not an advisory, you don't need to take specific action, it's for your information. So we could definitely do that. It's not impossible, it's just that's not the way that notify me was set up originally.
We
could
could
definitely
get
do
an
that.
email posting where I'll be on the website and then get a list of if you wanna be notified on this project specific, so,
Yep.
yeah.
It's a good recommendation.
I have one question.
Okay.
On 81st Avenue South and 17, where are you gonna put the road closed sign? Before you hit 81st Avenue or afterwards?
The county's got all those signs laid out there, Dave. So they're taking care of all the signs and the signage for this detour.
Okay.
So wherever they have them right now, they've got them laying in the ditch there and they're marked.
Because if it's after 81st, you could probably see a lot of people going down our street, 81st Avenue, cutting across, going across the road, coming up by the baseball diamond, you know, a half a mile going down that street in Sunshine, or whatever that area is. And, you know, right now with our big issue we have on 81st Avenue by the rentals right now, not a lot of people go down there because of those frost heaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, that's something too, we've talked to the deputies about that too, to keep an eye on that, because I know there'll be shortcuts that some people are gonna wanna take, and we're trying to discourage that as much as possible, that they stay on the detours. So,
and that's for the frost heave, that is, Public Works knows about, and they're working with the contractor to get that addressed,
mhm,
so.
yeah.
My understanding is the road closure would be, before 81st Street.
81st Avenue.
81st Avenue, yes. My understanding is it would be just after, just by the entrance to get into Horace Lutheran Church, and then that's where it'd be closed, that way folks have a chance to turn around on the street there,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move along here, guys, going to Orchard Park, and Zach, you've got a presentation for us?
Yep.
Feel free.
Well, that's the PowerPoint.
And then the pictures he has are scanned,
Okay.
so the ones that say scan on the
So
bottom.
tell me when you want the photos pulled up.
Okay, so I'm Zach May, as you probably know. We're doing my Eagle Shot project, which is a community orchard in Lost River Development. And so if you look on the board, this is what it looks like. This is what it's planned to look like. So we have trees going all around the park, and then we have the retention pond, which is there right now, and then we have the sidewalk all the way around. And in the front, the main section, we have trees, we have a couple of beds with strawberries, rhubarb, and stuff like that. Next slide. So this is before, when we got there, that's what it looked like. It was pretty plain, and it was really mucky. And with the rain, didn't really help, but it dried out after a while, and we started working this past weekend. And so we were going through the plan first, and this is a picture showing what, like the scouts and people we had helping us. And so we taught them how to do everything, and we had to survey it too. So we were locating and surveying and marking the beds and trees and stuff out, so we knew everything was. And so it was just us doing that. Then we had to till for our next part. So we had to till an edge, and so we had to make the beds, we had to get those tilled. And then we obviously had to edge it all, so we knew where it was. Yeah, here's another slide of us doing the same thing. And then we had to dig the holes and all that stuff, and we had to put down landscape fabric, and so we had everyone doing that, and that took a while, but we got that done in almost a day. Here's some more pictures of us, me leading the troop, and them doing it. Then we went to planting the trees, so we actually dug a hole that was like 18 inches deep, and then we filled that up to the certain height it had to be, and we put the tree down into the hole. And then we smoothed it around with the bobcats to make the ground level. And then after that, we don't have a picture, but we put mulch around all the trees, and so we had every tree mulched. And right now, we're actually looking for ideas. So we have to water the trees because they're pretty dry right now. So we were wondering, how should we water the trees? Like, do you guys have any suggestions or anything we could do?
Maybe something we should talk to Park Board about. They have
Is it
a cart, don't they?
They were gonna have the irrigation put in, but that's not put in yet. So we just
Yeah.
need something from like a little bit to do that
Right.
until it's put in.
They make bags that go around the trunks that you could fill with water and it seeps out over a period of time, and you
Mhm.
can just keep refilling those up, so. All the landscapers that I've worked with have those, and they use those bags, so.
Okay.
Talk to one of them, I suppose, maybe even pro landscapers, they're doing the irrigation out there. Talk to them, maybe they have some bags that you can use there.
Would they provide them, or would we have to pay for that?
I don't know. It's part of what we call the guarantee and establishment period of the plantings, so they just provide them and they come and get them after so long, but I don't know how they would handle it with something like this, so.
It wouldn't hurt to talk to them though and just see what they'd.
Who'd you say we should talk to then?
Pro landscapers.
Okay, and then the next steps we have to do is we have to prepare the beds for planting. So we have to level the soil, and we have to make sure it's all fertilized and everything like that. Then we actually have to plant like the raspberries, rhubarb, strawberries, and all that stuff. That's what we're gonna be doing Tuesday or tomorrow. I guess we're coming back and we're gonna do that. We're gonna try to do most of it, and then we're gonna have more work days after that. Then we have to mulch the beds, obviously. And so right now we're requesting money. So we're requesting the $6,750 for the grant submission. So we need the money from the city to pay back to the nursery, and so then they can reimburse you guys.
Yeah, we knew that was.
We
can
make
get
it
that.
work.
Yeah, we can get that squared away.
Okay, so if you could just email us then.
Yeah.
I would just get in touch with you and Sharon.
Yep.
Right.
On that one.
Sweet. And then right now with the estimated cost is about $8,000 with everything we have. So we have the $6,750 from the Orchard grant. We have $1,000 from the Lions, and they donated, which was very helpful. And then we have about 300 more, which is like mostly food and budgets and stuff like that we're gonna pay forward as a donation to the Orchard. And then once it's done, we're gonna hand it over to the city, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect.
But thank you guys.
Looking forward to the rhubarb choke cherry bit out there.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. That's all I have.
You did a
Okay.
good job.
Great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It looked excellent.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Thank you. All right. Excellent.
Oh, you can show them really quick. Those are from Zach there. Oh, I guess that's probably for the grant.
Oh, this is the.
Were those
application for
scans,
grant.
the scans weren't pictures then, were they? Yeah, that's just grant stuff then.
Okay. These are all just grant applications?
Paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
One thing I was just going to add on there, if you do get a chance to go out there and take a look at, it's coming together pretty nice. I went out there with some of our public works staff today just to see what it looked like and what was completed already. If you come in right off of Wall Avenue, there's a frontage road, a little gravel road going to the pump station. You can park there if you wanted to. And it's not too far away to get onto the walking path from there. But it is around the pond and it's pretty nice. It'll look pretty nice once everything is all together. So I encourage you to go out there.
One question I have beyond the watering, do any of those trees need to be staked or held, or are they pretty stable as they are?
So right now the trees are pretty stable as they are. We had some of them winterized, so they're like ready to put in the ground, and so the trees should be good without anything around them.
Okay.
We might have to put deer guards because
Right.
that would be a help.
That's why I'm worried about critters
Yep.
eating them. Okay.
They'll be in this week, so that's part of your.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
And then one more question: what are we gonna do about grass around that area? Are you guys gonna put stuff down for that? Or?
The contractor is supposed to do the irrigation system, and then the developer, as part of the development, then they would be
They'll put
seeded.
in that grass.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So just out of curiosity, how many people helped you out here last week?
So we had 25 on Saturday,
Okay.
and then Sunday we had about 7.
Okay.
It was kind of like a close because we thought we were gonna be done with everything, but it took a little bit longer than expected. So we planned that day, and tomorrow we'll just have to wait and see how many people we're gonna have, and so that should be a good work day. Saturday.
So I know that when you have to go present this to the Boy Scout Council to get approval for this, you have to give them an estimated hours. Did you blow the hours, or are you on track with them?
Right now we kind of just like went into it, and so we're following the time schedule we have right now until the end of May. So the hours are looking pretty good right now.
Okay.
I don't have an actual amount of hours for everyone, but we have it all written down, and I can come back to you at the end of that.
When you get around to it, I'm just curious, because I know this is not a small gig. That's why I was just
Yeah.
curious how many hours, because they're always looking, the Boy Scout Council is always looking to see how many hours some of these projects took. And I know that my son had one that went over 400, so that's why I was just curious what you're looking at here, because I know there's a time commitment in there. And again, I thank you for doing this, because this will be great when it's done.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually a really nice project. It's fun to work on, and it definitely gives me leadership to put forward to other things in my life.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, I encourage you guys to go down and check that out. It's looking pretty good right now, and it should look better.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you, Zach, I appreciate it. All right. Lucas, you're up. Letter of credit.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. The first item I have is a resolution to increase the revocable letter of credit, which you require for your developments. That letter of credit acts as security, financial security for the city in the event that any lots in the development go in default. Currently, you require developers to provide a letter of credit in the amount of 50% of the engineer's estimate of probable project costs. What this resolution does is it increases that amount to 75%. And what that does is it's just providing additional financial security for the city because of all the new developments that are going on.
Mhm. Yep. Anybody have any questions on that? I mean, Lucas, you and I have talked about this for a while, and I know Brent and I have talked about it as well, so.
One question I was asked today about it was, at what point would the council want this effective as? Just so something to consider, do you wanna do it right away, or do you wanna do it as a certain date, or?
Lucas has
what
got an
on there,
idea.
So,
The way it's drafted right now, it goes into effect upon approval.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what you and I had talked about that,
Mhm. Yep.
so. Do you guys have any questions on that? I mean, this has kind of been a topic that's been brought up before, and
So this is in line with what, Fargo and West Fargo use for,
West Fargo just does a promissory note for their developments. I'm not sure what Fargo does in theirs.
but other towns comparable size to us use this approach.
One thing I would just wanna expand on is, one thing I've seen, like, when I was down in Kansas, the community I worked for had a letter of credit of 50%, and we had problems with some developers and they started imposing 100%, and they were in talks of doing 100%, but also the development progress down there was not anything near what it is here. But as for layers of credit, it is a more secure way to protect the city. It does cost the developer some money to secure that layer of credit. So it's something we keep in mind. But other cities, West Fargo does a promissory note, so it's just basically an IOU. Hard to come down legal wise if there's an issue. And then Fargo.
And some of those smaller communities, no one has the growth that Horace has. They don't have the number of developments that Horace has, so it's tough to compare Horace with anyone really in this area because of your size, because of all the growth that's around here, and the number of developments. So you're kind of in your own little realm there as far as
So by
how you
increasing,
operate.
so by increasing this, is it going to limit the number of developers that, I mean, smaller developers obviously aren't going to be able to get this kind of letter of credit. This basically forces it to be larger developers that are applying for, right?
I don't think it'll really force the hand of any developers.
Okay.
Because we have developers that aren't traditional developers that are still able to comply with this.
Okay.
It will make some developers think a little bit more about if they use special assessments or not.
Right. The initial size of the
Yeah.
development will probably be smaller, but that's, again, that's not a problem.
But it's a risk. It's a risk, protection mechanism.
Correct.
For the city, it
Right,
makes
for the
sense.
city.
If they do move lots quickly, then that layer of credit is able to be reviewed every so often.
Right.
So if they move, let's say they have 100 lots and they move half of those within the first year, well, their layer of credit requirement, their responsibility tied to it drops
Okay.
at a certain point. So, yeah.
And another thing to keep in mind with this is it's a resolution. So if it's not working out the way the city wants it to, we can always come back and
Correct.
revise the percentage.
Yep. Okay, anybody else got any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna ask for a motion to accept the letter of credit going up from 50 to 75.
So moved.
Okay, Chelsea,
I'll second.
Brian is the second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Okay, so we'll take care of that then, Lucas, thank you. Okay, Matt, we got Cub Creek edition, first edition.
Alrighty. Put it up here. Planning Commission recommends approval with conditions of Cub Creek final plat, Cub Creek First Edition final plat. The final plat is by and large unchanged from the preliminary plat. There's an additional residential lot that will need to be rezoned in the first row of housing in Block 1.
So what changed with that one, or why was that?
The developer just reconfigured one of the blocks,
Okay, so
basically,
just-
yeah, and then put an extra lot in there.
Okay.
So that's block 1, lot 22. We have a signed letter from the park board, and the final plat will need to indicate that there is park board ownership of block 6, lot 1, which is the large lot in the bottom there.
This one right here?
Right.
Yeah.
And park board, the developer, and the city are going to continue to work on it. Can we expand expand the park services in this part of town? That started from both the park board and the developer proposing the same thing, and we've been working together to be more comprehensive and robust in public space in this development. So those are the first two conditions. There's a third condition. The developer is working with the city and FEMA to complete FEMA requirements. We don't have precise, there needs to be some more review, but FEMA did request some comments back. So the recommendation would be to approve Cub Creek First Edition final plat with the following conditions. Indicate park board ownership of block 6, lot 1 in the final plat. Rezone block 1, lot 22 to R6, and complete the FEMA requirements, which do include a LOMAR and may include a GLOMAR.
That's part of that FEMA.
That's
They
part
want
of
some
FEMA,
comments
correct.
back on, okay.
Mhm.
All right. So Lucas, you had a question or you want?
Just keep in mind with the park lot, that's a recommendation from the park board to the planning commission, then to the city council. The city council has the ultimate authority on whether you accept that dedication of lot 1, block 6, or if the city desires to do payment in lieu of park dedication. So that's something that the city council needs to think about in approving this final plat is, are you okay with having the developer dedicate lot 1, block 6, which is another 10.47 acres.
That's what I was gonna ask you, how many acres that was, okay.
And so that's one item that we need to address tonight. Another one that I'd like as one of the conditions is Southeast Cass has an agreement with the developer for the 150-foot water course setback. So that's the same as we discussed with Visto's third industrial edition.
Mm-hmm.
Just that they have that agreement saying you can't put certain structures or improvements within 150 feet of the water course, which is drain 27. And Southeast Castle.
That's this line right here, right? That's the 150-foot setback.
Yep.
But that's the same thing we discussed in the initial plat layout.
Right.
too.
Correct.
That hasn't changed.
Something's
Yep.
changed there with that.
So that's actually going in front of Southeast Cass next Tuesday.
And you don't anticipate any
Um,
issues with that, or did they have some concerns?
I think the developer will be proposing different improvements that can be constructed in there, but other than that, the 150 feet will stay there.
Stay there, yeah.
It's just a matter of what improvements can go within so many feet of the upper edge.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's also a zoning reg. It isn't just CAS, it's a zoning reg.
Yeah, it's under the city's ordinance that a building or a structure cannot be within
Okay.
150 feet, but they're talking about other stuff. Whether or not they can have shrubs or,
Oh, okay.
you know, certain things, sprinkler system.
Okay.
So that's what Southeast Cass wants to discuss next Tuesday.
Okay. So I guess we'll open it up for public hearing. If anybody's got any comments they want to make on Cub Creek First Edition, feel free. Anybody got anything you want to talk about for the final plat here? Going once, going twice. Okay, then I will close the public hearing. You guys have any other questions or comments you want to make?
I haven't really heard much about what the park is saying about it.
I don't know, have they defined, I mean, there were some ideas that they had, but I don't know if they've defined.
So here's what they have in their
Okay.
letter. Under additional information, this recommendation letter is valid under the condition that the approved final plat identifies lot 1 of block 6 in Cub Creek First Edition as being dedicated to the Horace Park District for public use. If the final plat does not include this language, this recommendation letter is void. Okay, that's not saying I want it to. Maybe he had it in an email.
In terms of the use of the park,
Well, they're not really sure yet what they
well,
want.
we left it.
It's a placeholder.
It's a placeholder, yeah, through talking with the developer in the park district, because so many of their ideas overlapped.
Yeah.
We, by default, staff recommended that we leave it empty, or leave it void. And then, part of this approval condition is that we all continue to work together to.
And this
build and improve
dedication is for just this phase, just this addition?
It would just apply to the plat, correct?
So it's kind of surrounded by roads, so.
But it
is
may
there
not,
fence?
you, right, so it only applies to what's in front of you now, but, if everybody in good faith works together, you know, the idea is we may have an opportunity to expand the park towards where the park district's property is already by the school. So it's a good faith agreement to continue that, yeah.
Lucas, yes, sir.
So his email just states that he wants, this is coming from the park board president, for the city council to be aware of special assessments that are on these park lots, and that you're aware that they have been getting assessed and that the park board feels that the city needs to watch the amount of assessments that are being levied. There's a concern that it's too high. So that's something that,
Yep. I think we've had conversations with Wade about that. so-
yeah. And there is a potential for a pretty big assessment on this lot considering it's 10.47 acres.
Yep. Anything else, guys? All right, so I'll accept a motion to accept the final plat.
So moved.
Okay?
With the conditions.
With the
The
conditions,
conditions,
yes.
Second.
Okay, Brian is a second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. So you wanna talk about the pond purchase agreement here, Lucas? Or who wants to pick that one up?
I could kick it off, and if Lucas wants to expand anything on there.
Okay.
Pretty brief on this, because we already we discussed this at the last council meeting about the price per square footage. The original intention, the price per square footage council approved was $1.28 per square foot, or up to. What is reflected in this agreement is for it to be for 3 different locations within Cub Creek. Lot 46, Block 6, First Edition, Lot 48, Block 6, First Edition, Lot 3, Block 7, First Edition. So it's a series of ponds. It's incorporating what the council has always been asking about, a lake theme, what you hear about in our comprehensive plan concepts. Not as big as what the original thoughts were, but it's also to make sure we still have water in there. So it's a series of the ponds that you'd
These
see.
areas right here.
Yes, to the right. No, the shade in.
Here?
Yep, right along there. There's a series of 3 ponds right along there. It equals about 27 acres. It's easiest to describe by the lot and block descriptions instead of trying to get into meets and bounds. But at that $1.28, it comes out to just under $1.20. It's $1.27 and a whole lot of decimals behind it. It comes out 1.5 million for the 27 acres. This is fairly reasonable for the pond prices when seeing comparables of other regional ponds. This is actually one of the cheaper ones when you're looking at comparable based on what year it occurred. Shallow Creek came in a little cheaper, or lower, but that was also done 5-7 years ago, quite a while back. Brooks Harbor, to give you a comparison, there's some ponds in there, and one came in at $2, I believe, and 61 cents per square foot. So this is definitely something to keep in mind. Who pays for this project? The purchase of these ponds, the digging of these ponds is through the special assessment for Cub Creek, that development. So if you live within Cub Creek, you have drainage that is impacted by this, you're paying for these ponds. That is who pays for it. So if you end up buying a lot in there, then you're going to be paying for that. That's how it works. That's how it's structured and how it would work, just like any other special assessment. It isn't the city writing a check for that, out of city general funds or anything. That's coming out of the assessment costs for those that would live within the benefit area. There is some regional benefit with some of the school property, for example, along 79th. Drainage could come in from that area too. So that is why it serves a regional purpose. So, and like I said, this does incorporate the vision, goal of the city council that they've had for quite a while, and even coming up in the comprehensive planning process has been coming up. So it is a series of ponds. We may talk about another pond in the future. I know 1 or 2 ponds in the future, but these were the 3 ponds being proposed of the first edition.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Dave?
When you advance that $1.5 million, you'll have a temporary bond in place before you advance it, correct?
Yes.
And then at the time of advancement, are you gonna advance it before he starts the development or as he's starting the development?
The purchase of the ponds would be as the infrastructure is going in, so it'd be at the time, basically when the development is just starting, so we're having infrastructure put in, that's when it would be occurring.
So are
Is
you
that
gonna
time frame.
just front one pond at a time if there's 3, 4 ponds, or are you just gonna allocate the $1.5 million to the developer right away?
How, Lucas could expand.
So, Mr. Mayor, how this is set up is, this purchase agreement is contingent upon final plat approval, and it's also contingent upon, the improvement district for this development, getting bond funds. So the date of closing under this purchase agreement is set for when the city obtains, funds for bonding for this development. So then it says at that point, once the city receives those funds, it'll, provide a check to the developer in the amount of $1.5 million.
And then the developer is gonna be digging up ponds for you, or do you have to do that?
That's part of the improvement district, is my understanding.
So the contractor putting in the infrastructure.
contractor.
The contractor doing the
Yeah.
improvement.
This is a real estate, it's a real estate or purchasing the real estate, yeah.
Okay, anything else on that that we need?